Yeah, I was gonna try to start playing that with this in the background. I gotta figure out how to get the timing just right. But we are live, I guess.
Yeah, we are live. And then all right, I guess that you have already swapped it over.
Yeah, I've swapped
Oh,
it over.
okay. Okay then. Well then, sorry about that. Whatever that was, people. That my name is Ninja Spencer Young, and in that today on that this episode of Bonus Roundtable that we have decided to make a project about basically about interviewing all of the team members of team bonus action, and then that we are basically starting with just that, and we're just at the one and only Miro Raven.
Hi.
So so hey everybody. So anyway, then that that we are just gonna just go ahead and then get right up into that these questions right quick. That this shouldn't take no more than about an hour, 50 minutes, or if so. But anyway, then that first question is that what had got you interested in tabletop role playing hobby and the community, and then also please tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right. I'll start with the second half of that one. I'm Miro Raven, aka Hewitt, because I believe Topher docks me every daggum time we get on a stream. It's really weird being on webcam in my bout pajamas. But yeah, I've been DMing for TBA for about I don't know, since it started. I, even before it started, when we were doing the very first game, which was let's see, what was it called? Forgotten Sands. It started out as a way to kill time for Knox, Cannon, and Cannon at the time's coworker Claire, who we didn't really know, who's now kind of tech mom and donation mom for TBF. She designed the background that's behind everything back here. So we started doing that, and then we did Extra Life one year, and I just kept DMing, and that's pretty much what I do for TBA. Is I'm scheduling, production, and I guess story for several of the games. Uh, let's see, what got me into D&D was back around 96, 97, like 7th grade year of high school. I mean, 7th grade year of junior high. My buddy Noah invited a bunch of us to play D&D, and that was late second edition. Um, and we played a couple games of that at his house, and I got the bug. And he was my very first DM, and he was the only DM because he's the one that had all the books. So we'd end up going to his house and playing either D&D or later on uh, Exalted or Aberrant by White Wolf, and had a blast. And that's picked it up then and just kept going. And I started DMing when Noah stopped because he had kids, and then they moved to Washington a couple years back. So I've kind of been the DM in most of my circles ever since then because I'm the one who'll run the game.
Oh wow, then that is fascinating. Like oh 1990 that you had said 96, 97. Oh man,
Yeah,
that was like
way back.
I was still up in like elementary at the time. But yeah, then that is really really interesting. All right, and second question, if you have created a homebrew world, then could you briefly describe your world for us?
Oh yeah, well that's Arax. In fact, in my dining room on the other side of the wall behind me now, there is an old desktop that I made that is now mounted to the wall. That is the map of Arax, or the original map of Arax. I made a world for Forgotten Sands, and that was Arax. Initially, it was just the massive continent of Lothria, about the size of Africa and Asia combined, ringed
Mm,
with mountains, desert in the middle, very kind of Dune inspired. A lot of dwarves. Under most of what happened on Lothria was underground. A lot of dwarven kingdoms and taigs because the surface was dangerous and not safe to live on. But there's a lot of mineral wealth, so people would go out into the great deserts and dig underneath them to try to find what they could find. And that led to me just setting every other campaign there and developing a bunch of other campaigns like Lost Seas set in the Halfling Archipelago, which is east of Lothria, on the other side of a continent named Egeth, which I've not run an on-screen game in, but Egeth is more or less think stereotypical European fantasy type thing. The Halfling Archipelago, High Seas, and then the current campaign that's running there most regularly is Holy Winds in the Elbs, a set of two continents that are dominated by a elven theocracy that my players are finding very problematic to deal with. But
Oh, wow.
uh, I've developed a lot of lore. A lot of it's written down in a Google document somewhere. A lot of it just resides up in my noggin. Uh, like one of the things I'm happiest about making is the Finn. It's a it started out as an orc encampment, but
Mm-hmm.
they accept anybody else in, and it's more or less a semi-nomadic, druidic type society that worships their three gods mostly to have their gods leave them the hell alone. Like the prayers are not, you know, Luthic guide me. It's like Luthic, do not let this strike miss. Do not fuck me over.
Right. Wow.
Uh,
Then that is interesting. So, about if that you do not mind me asking, like, how long have you been building the world of Arax?
um, since we started playing Forgotten Sands, and that would be right around, God, 7 years ago, right around the time Vincent was born.
Oh, wow. But that is
So,
incredible. And then I know that you have basically already answered about that the third question about like what is that your role for team bonus action since that you are the head DM production and basically almost everything out of the above. So a follow up question for you would be as part of those that that founded our team during our first charity live stream event, do you ever see Team Bonus Action growing into something larger? In what ways do you wish to improve your role or the team as a whole?
well, I can definitely say that it's team bonus action is going to keep growing because it's already grown. It initially started with 4 players, and then we brought in Emily, and then we brought in Moose, who ended up is now dating Claire. We actually have a relationship that formed through our RPG group. Uh, so I really see it growing and continuing. I hope every year we can outdo what we've done the year before for donations for charity streams. I really would like us to do two or move from one charity stream to 2 charity streams a year and keep that going. So that's my main goal is to watch that aspect keep going and us to keep streaming like we have been for the last while. Uh, as for what I see my role in the future, I would really like to just keep doing what I'm doing. Now that we've kind of organized since uh, this last extra life, being the one in charge of the schedule and be like, hey, if you want to stream this, let me know. If you don't let me know, I'm not putting it on the calendar and it's not happening. Seems to have actually pushed a couple people to really step up in that case. Uh, it also now means that I have something I can directly focus on and contact people about instead of being scattered willy nilly everywhere like we were before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I really love running games. Like, I really do love running one of the long term running campaigns on our stream, which will probably run until Holy Winds will probably run until February and then take a little momentary break because there's going to probably be a big moment unless the party just decides to go out of off the rails left field, just completely.
Right,
I
right.
can kind of guess where they're going right now, and it's easy to figure out what they're going to do, but they've always been able to throw a curveball at me like, I don't know, Cannon, for example. I'm going to cast Earthquake on the tower we're on. And then I look at what the damage of the Earthquake spell does to buildings. And so this massive city that was going to continue to be the campaign setting for a while had the spire, its central governing building, snap in half. So about 150, 200 feet of the tower collapsed into the city and they got exiled. So, I mean, the rest of that part of the campaign was completely, it's like, let me just start figuring out where we're going now, guys. But yeah, there's going to be a big moment, and what the party decides to do decides who the BBEG is, what's happening, because that game's been a lot of episodic type stuff recently, starting to build up into a story. But that's, I guess, back to your question, that's kind of where I really would like to keep going, is running games and keeping up with scheduling. And as for what I would really like to see other people do, I really would love to see other folks continue with the technology end of it, because folks like Claire, Topher, and Bosch Kyle really know what they're doing with a lot of the tech that I don't. I mean, you can see that there's a blue light on my face from my computer over here that
Hmm.
I thought was a good computer, and then it turns out it's not super fantastic, which it runs the stream. So, but I really would like to see us get a little bit better at the technology and be a little bit more consistent, because that was one of the
Hmm.
things everybody really asked for. I'd love to see us do that so that we could keep that going and just continue to get better.
Right, right, and just before that we get into it, and I 100% I just like 100% agree. Just as like one of the most always constant DMs too is just at that level of just consistency can help us out up in that the long term, such as just like getting like D&D tabletop related content, and then just a few more surprises that we do have cooking for our dear audience and such. So very good answers. All right. Next question is that how would you describe your game mastering style?
I am 100% an absurdist. Uh, I mean, it's everybody has probably watched Critical Role at this point, and Matthew Mercer is a wonderful DM. He is one of the best. I realized quickly that is not my style, because I forget a lot of things. I thankfully have my wife and other players, and I love DMing for other DMs because they will always be like, "Hey, buddy, you forgot this." I'm like, "Cool, thank you. Let's go ahead and do that."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so doing the massive lore dump and the serious epic campaign all the time, that's not me. I can't do that. I took a lot of inspiration from Chris Perkins, and then Tycho from Penny Arcade slash was it Acquisitions Incorporated, to where I'm going to throw something at you so dumb, but it's going to be so fun that we're going to enjoy this. Like, one of my favorite examples from a home game that I got going on is we had to do some filler because a couple players weren't going to make it, so they ended up going to a dwarven stronghold to do some shopping before they went to now they're about to go fight the final boss. And I basically made a dwarven shopping center that had Einstone Brothers bagels and the Nut Hut, and they got into a slap fight outside of the Nut Hut. And it was awesome, because then the absurdity of them being in a fight in a mall, dealing with dwarven mall security guards and having to get out, made me so happy. I mean, or like perfect example when we did Into the Woods. Kyle went on a date with a hag to Olive Garden and laser tag. Like, he hit 1990s peak date for like a
Mm-hmm.
high school kid. So I love doing stuff like that because it's silly, it's fun, and everybody seems to enjoy it. But I can reel it back in for other stuff. But I just love the goofiness, and to bring in something silly in the middle of it. I mean, I made everybody sing a Dolly Parton song at Extra Life. I mean, the whole, I really thought someone was going to figure out, but the whole 9 to 5 game was a long Dolly Parton reference.
Mm.
And the year before, I made it Pokemon for Cthulhu. So, I mean, I love to do goofy stuff like that so that everybody's having fun. Now, I try to reel it back in for things like Into the Woods, where we had to actually have spooky moments. And I felt like I decently described some rather terrifying visuals for everybody, and the fact that I never gave y'all a moment to rest in that game. Like,
That is true.
something like one of the things I figured is the most scary in a D&D game is we can't get a rest, so our resources are low. I took away your weapons and left you out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
So I figured all that would be terrifying and difficult.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That absolutely because I know that Joline with his passive perception at a 20, then that you know that those perception checks at disadvantage were killing us tremendously, and then plus then that you had did a fine job with just Into the Woods, and then that we are now then I know that I am looking forward to like Topher's version. Then that's going to be amazing as soon as that happens.
Oh, it,
But
it's
very nice.
it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to play my character that I'm still not allowed to tell anybody at the table about.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, then that is basically, then I am definitely looking forward to that. Alrighty then. So next question is that you had mentioned earlier that you have a homebrew world. So have you ever dabbled into like creating your own races, classes, subclasses, etc.?
Uh, I've created spells. I've mostly created spells. I made Swarm of Chickens, which was in our first extra life, that could be cast at multiple levels that basically summoned the chickens from Zelda onto somebody and left them there to deal damage for a hot minute. Uh, I I've made one subclass for a game that Chris was running. It was I tried to make a conversion of the Magus from Pathfinder into 5e. We ended up not going with the version I made because Chris found one that was a homebrew already that we didn't have to flesh out. But I developed a subclass for that. Um, I really haven't tried to make subclasses or new races or overlays or cultures for. Well, I've made cultures, but I'm saying like something for character development. I haven't worked into the mechanics that much. Uh, Mostly because when I'm going to run a campaign, I kind of want to keep a lot of it simple to like if there's something I really really want to do, if I really want to come up with something, I might try it out. Like I think in a module I made years ago that I still haven't fully play tested. I made a background that gave you a few things that could help in that very specific situation for that very specific module, but and it wasn't unbalanced. A few people picked it up and they really liked it, but uh, I didn't realize I had made that much of a meat grinder because one player lost 3 characters in 2 sessions.
Wow.
Bad rolls, real bad
Oh.
rolls, like wizard getting eat by a swarm of rats rolls, and the rest of the
Mm.
party not knowing that you got to stabilize someone that's making death saves if you don't have a potion or cure magic. So they were carrying him and he failed his 3rd death save and he just died in their arms. I felt kind of bad about that. Made a new character and got shot. And died.
Oh.
They knocked on the wrong door and got shot with a blunderbuss and died. And then the third version of the character was not looking good where we finished playing, but then we stopped doing it because that was at the start of the unpleasantness that we have all dealt with and in-person games for everything stopped for a hot minute.
Oh wow. Ugh. Ooh, that sounded like that was a rough one for sure.
I
Okay.
would not mind running that game as a stream
Really?
for something, or if we did it in person, it would probably be fun. Uh,
Oh yeah.
it's a bit of a horror investigation that has some silliness to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then that that'd be something for like the near future to like back pocket for sure. All right, and next question. Okay, so what are some of the inspirations for that the games and content you create, and could you elaborate on your research process regarding for creating a game?
Okay. Inspiration. I gotta do one of the stereotypical ones. Anything from Lord of the Rings has influenced me for a long time. But the biggest influence I've had is I'm a big fan of Record of Lodoss. Uh, and I think the whole anime and manga was based off of like a magazine story following like the first like D&D game in Japan, like when second edition made it over there. I think that the what became Record of Lodos Wars was originally a bunch of guys playing it, and it continued on until it became a thing. Also, things like Dragon Age are a big influence for me because I don't know, I love that game, especially Origins. Um, so that's a big influence. Some of the other games, I mean, Critical Role is leaked in because I usually throw something from that somewhere into a game that people make a reference to. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know that they've found Tusk Love in at least one of my games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Emily sent Matthew Mercer one. If you need another raunchy book, there's the Bugbear and the Two Sides of Beef because someone made a joke about Zugar and Croesus and Peepaw Bugbear all posing for people. And then we made the joke about that, so now there might be a dirty book named that. I don't know. But as for research,
Mm-hmm.
I look at my notes for the area I want to set the game in, and I get a rough idea of villains, missions, and I put that over to the side, and that's about it. 90% of when I run a game is improv. I
Mm-hmm.
I know roughly in my head what an area is doing. So like when y'all went to the town of Ember,
Yeah.
I didn't have any members in that town actually listed. I didn't have anybody name for anybody important anything. I just knew it's a city circled with fire that is very superstitious. They view outsiders as both a blessing and a curse,
Mm-hmm.
and they very much will sacrifice people to keep their wall burning to keep the forest from getting in and killing them. Because they remember when the forest was safe and good, and that's gone now. So they obviously have to keep the walls burning to keep everybody safe. So when y'all met the Ash Keeper, he was a jerk because you're outsiders. He personally would have rather thrown y'all into the wall to keep it burning that way, but someone informed him that they could probably sacrifice you and some others to keep the wall burning in the Wicker Man. So he did what he was doing. The priest knew if he straight up told you what he was going to do at face value, y'all would run. So he didn't lie to you. He just didn't tell the truth in the manner that you would have perceived it the most threatening. So when y'all made it to Bog Bale, it's a bunch of ball cultists that survive through. I mean, it's harsh. They
Yeah.
worship the god of murder because that's one way they survive. I mean, they worship an evil god. They might not all of them probably were evil. It's just that's literally a town of survivors doing whatever it takes. And y'all probably would have had more interaction with them and had more fun if someone hadn't sunk the dock with a giant statue.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I learned a lot of these skills that I've been using for a lot of my games while running a Dresden Fate game for my wife and two of her friends, to where the way that game works, especially since it's way more interactive on storytelling moments, because they can literally spend a
Mm-hmm.
fate point to change the story at any point, is that I know what the villain's motives are. And if they go over here to do this and they don't run into the villain because they're over there doing something else, I know what happens when the villain's there.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen when they interact with them. So that that really influences how things change uh, a little bit for me. So once I realized that I really don't need to write out a ton because if I overplan, um, it just doesn't work, and then I get frustrated that I made all this extra stuff and didn't do it. Like the number of minis I have painted for other games that didn't get used because they circumvented it, and I'm like, I made a whole Bagman mini. I made the Bagman, and we got to use him for 3 seconds. Or I made an entire village, and now they're up at the game shop. If you want to see the village minis I made or terrain I made, they're now at the game shop unless they tossed them out. Um, we never use those, and I spent hours making them, and I was like, man, it's kind of like one game will definitely have a massive bridge in it again because I spent a ton of time making a massive bridge for my home game.
Yeah, then that is absolutely great. I mean, that just basically then that I know as soon as we get to my interview later, then that just feel like that we will have a contrasting answer for that question, but very, very good answers. Okay, then. Now that this one is a bit of a long one, but with the growing popularity that Dungeons and Dragons have generated in mainstream and is viewed as cool now, not to discount the critical success of those professional D&D web shows that have paved the way for the smaller groups of the tabletop RPG community. How do you feel that those spikes in popularity have helped or have harmed the hobby?
I'll be honest, I really see that they can only help. I know that there's a lot of people. It's like this is not my D and D. No, it might not be, but that doesn't mean you can't still play D and D the way you did. One of my big philosophies is run your table like you're going to run your table. And if I don't want to be at your table, I won't come to it. But don't come over to mine and expect me to run it like you do. Uh, I mean, I love some of the old classic dungeon crawls. I mean, I love some of the old artwork from D and D, uh, minus some of the stuff of like, why do the snakes have boobs? I don't understand why the snakes have boobs. They're reptiles. Um, I love a lot of that, and that's a lot of my childhood. And there was some of that was a bit of a safety net as well, being a nerdy guy in middle school through college, and being able to kind of escape into role play and do that. That was a ton of fun, and I don't want anyone else to miss out on that opportunity if they need it. So I know that some people get upset and say, "Oh, not my D and D." It's like it, yeah, but let these kids play it the way they want to. If you don't want to have, you know, a non-binary poly air ganassi NPC in your game, you don't have to put them in there. But don't get upset when someone else does. Don't get upset when someone decides they want a homebrew that Kinku can create a talkie box so that they themselves don't have to role play out the difficulty of a Kinku trying to communicate through mimicking. Because the thing is, the main idea is to have fun. Fifth edition, I think, really helped make that more accessible to a lot of people. Like, there'll always be a soft spot in my heart for 3.5 with as crunchy as it is. There'll always be a soft spot for Pathfinder because of how crunchy it was. I've yet to play second edition, though. I've heard mixed reviews, but fifth edition is way more accessible, and the only way to make it more accessible is to make it like something like Monster of the Week that really has next to no system. Well, I mean, it has a system, but it's way easier. But and I love that, and it's made it more accessible, and because more people are playing it, they're making more. I get more of what I love to play. I get more that I can add to my hobby because more people are doing it. And if I don't want to buy a book, like say I'm not interested in Beyond Witchlight, which I'm probably not going to buy that module. I'm super glad that people are into it because that means that they're producing books more often, which means all of a sudden, like, hey, Fizzbands came out. All right, this is a supplementary book that I'm probably going to go get. But if D&D hadn't been popular, if fifth edition had been popular, we wouldn't have had the last multiple modules and additional books and supplemental materials printed because they're they're owned by Wizards of the Coast. It's Hasbro. It's a massive multi-billion-dollar corporation. If they're not making money, they're not going to keep doing it. So I am super excited to see that so many people are into this because maybe they'll have the same experience I had that was great for me and has allowed me to really open up and be more social with people and create random things, read sometimes to figure out where inspiration is going to come from or listen to something on an audiobook. And it's been great for me, and I want other people to have that opportunity. And right now, with as popular it is, they're getting it, and because they're getting it and buying it, the company's making money, which means they're going to make more, which means I get more wonderful stuff for my hobby. So a lot of people that want a gatekeeper, I'm not down with that because if you want to keep playing the same game all the time, that's fine, that's you. But I'm always excited when something new comes out so that I can see it. It's the same thing with Star Wars. People might not like the newest trilogy. It wasn't the greatest, but I got new Star Wars, and it got popular, made enough money for us to get the Mandalorian. So I can see it as only being helpful for the hobby because it means it's going to continue, it's going to thrive, it's going to flourish because it's making itself more available to more people, which means we all get to play.
That is a very good answer. That is a very good answer to that question. And that I 100% agree that, it is so mainstream media that you even got like that, that the big news corporations are even talking about it randomly up in the news and stuff. And then it's just, it is awesome, awesome just to always see that popularity grow with it, especially with just like the Stranger Things show and etc. It's just so much plethora of information out there, and then it's all original content based on just at this core just storytelling tabletop game.
And I think a big thing with this is a big thing is our age group is now because I mean I'm 37. Uh, I'm on the younger end of the second wave of D&D players. And they're the ones that are now starting to write shows. They're the ones that are starting now to be the creative heads. So they start putting references to something that they love. And I'm glad to see it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, then that's the dream as just a 32-year-old is wanting to try to at least get some books based on my world publish, or else even like self-publish it up in this day and age. But yeah, then next question. That even though that you had kind of touched on this, that this question is more so of like some actual tangible goals for Team Bonus Action as a whole. So anyway, what are some long-term goals for Team Bonus Action that you will like to see accomplished?
I would like to see us at least continue our twice a week streaming. I know that some folks are pushing for three. If we can actually generate the media, I'll post it and I'll stream it. But I really would like to at least see us do our twice a week stream schedule continue. I really would like to see other folks, and we're going to start because I mean you're going to be running Entity Killer this week, and
Mm-hmm.
if it might be a one session hunt, it might be a two session hunt, and after that we're going to start NASA's campaign. So it's going to be nice to have a second long running campaign again that I don't have to run. I really want some of our other members to stretch their legs DMing at least, even if it's like for a one shot or a special event. Like this last time at Extra Life, Emily and Claire, who have never streamed or really not publicly streamed or run a game, ran games. And I want to see more of that. I mean, I'd really love for next Extra Life for us to have it to where if we have four different games, we have four different DMs
Correct.
that run those. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for is to see more people step up and actually want to run streams. And that's also partially me being selfish because I want to be a player in a lot of games. Because like I love creating goofy characters for games. Like having Sog was wonderful and a little bit cathartic. Uh, but yeah, that's really like the goals there, and also maybe improve our recording equipment that we have set up because right now we're running either off the webcam that I got here or a snowball that I got or something that someone else brings over. And to
Mm-hmm.
have something maybe a little bit more powerful, a little bit better would actually be really good.
Right, right. Then that is always a good thing to always just try to make sure then that that the technology itself is always the best sounding quality for basically our viewers to basically check in with us and such. And here is a fun question. Now, name a favorite character of all time that you have played. That this can be a character from like any game that you have been in.
I got two. I mean, it's
Oh,
Aldrich Tarbuckle that I played in Chris's game, and that's an NPC in other games, and I brought in randomly for Extra Life games. I love my terrible little halfling, my halfling brute fighter that's picked up 3 levels of paladin and doesn't fully know he's a paladin yet. Like he just knows that he can hit a lot harder now. He does not actively call on the smite. He just does it. Um, I love that character. He started out as so chaotic neutral and ended up becoming the moral compass of the party without changing anything about himself. That's just how bad the rest of the like. If Giz or if anybody from the other games watching, I love y'all. You're great. The party might have been evil. The party might have been a little evil, and yet Aldrich's still the terrible one. Like they release a demon in the middle of town. Aldrich's still in trouble because he ripped a guy's ear off during an interrogation. And the thing is like the reason I love it is he wasn't going to go paladin. I was going to go straight fighter the whole way with him. And then there was a game session where there was this giant dark-winged woman with a red sword impaling through her chest, and everybody else tried to grab the sword and like took damage. So Aldrich lassoed the sword and used a outcropping a rock above her to make a pulley and pulled the sword out and turns out she was the Raven Queen. She had been impaled by another god and left in this cavern to rot, and we saved her. So I was like, oh man, Aldrich just saved a god. And the thing is, Aldrich is attracted to power. So the big thing is like there was a orc that was their boss, and Aldrich was attracted to her because she was just this big, powerful woman. And then there was a Goliath that ran a bar in town, and Aldrich was attracted to him because he was just this big, powerful thing. And Aldrich would make jokes about, yeah, I've pleased a Goliath before. I mean, I'm a very skilled and talented individual. And not telling anybody how he pleased a Goliath was he wiped down all the tables in the bar and got a number. Or I got a I guess got it's not really getting a number, and I guess got a sending.
Yeah, you got a sending or message.
So did that, and then literally he just saved a goddess, the matron of ravens, the goddess of death, and he's like, "Oh wow, she's beautiful. She's really powerful." And now he's in her service. That's the thing. Like he spent like before the game got canceled, Aldrich ended up spending a lot of time searching the Feywild and the Shadowfell trying to find her after she disappeared because he wanted like, hey, I don't know what's going on with me. I can hit things really hard and I can't get stick anymore. Can you kind of give me a heads up on what's going on here? I mean, he's 100% honest about almost everything he can do, and I just love that character because of that. And he's just fun to play, and he smacks really hard in a fight, and it's hilarious to have him interact with anybody in RP. So I mean, he just became a well-rounded playable character that was fun. And the other one is Sog. I fell in love with Sog like very quickly in that game. Like the whole time Sog's usually quiet, and then everybody turns and looks at him, and he's been doing something the entire time y'all been having a conversation. It's like, we are having a conversation with God. One of our friends wants to fight God. God looks over at Sog. What do you want to do here? I wasn't paying attention. I was doing something important. Just rolling a wood shaving cigar, like just sassing God, saying, you are not worth my time. The only thing I wish I had done with Sog that I didn't do is once everybody ran off, go up to Thrash and shake his hand, say good luck, and then drop a third level inflict wounds.
Oh, that would have been nasty. That you know what song reminds me of? He reminds me of Tilk from Stargate.
I never really got into Stargate. I was just trying to channel Eeyore.
Well,
I was trying to summon like slightly nihilist. Well, I guess not. Eeyore's already slightly nihilistic. I was just
well,
trying to summon that. But the thing I love is like Kyle was not ready for Spirit Guardians to be flipped around to be an offensive spell instead of a defensive spell. Because every time I've made a character that has Spiritual Guardians, I drop the spell and I move into battle because it's a blender. And even if it lasts one turn, the first time they enter it or the start of their turn, they got to make a roll. And it's wonderful because you force rolls.
mm-hmm.
I've seen it in other games that people use it as a defense mechanism to keep things away from them because everybody can see this. And I'm like, no, no. My Death Cleric will summon a maelstrom that is the destroyed ship he drowned on and died on and walk towards people singing a song because that sounds creepy as hell. It
But
also
it's also awesome.
it means if I play Sog again, I have to actually learn sea shanties.
Oh, that is going to be glorious, and then that's everybody loves a good she shanty. I mean, sea shanty.
But the other thing I love is I realize Sog is petty. Like that town screwed us over and killed a bunch of our guys. Sog burned that town down. Like I will
Yeah,
intentionally burn as many buildings as I can on my way out of here because of what you did to my people.
yeah. I mean, I think that that whole game, that the wheel, I think that we're all just impressed like Knox Cow, especially that play of just like saving sweet. Because I'm like, wonder could this work, and it did. That was just an awesome game and just in itself. That those are very two lovable characters that I would definitely like to see return. Okay, and here is a now that the next question is that how do you view yourself with the hobby within that the next 5 years?
I don't see myself going anywhere for the next 5 years. I want to keep playing, and as long as my friends want to keep playing, I'm.
You,
Oh, I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button there.
it's fine.
Um, I see myself still playing in 5 years. I don't see myself going anywhere unless my friends stop playing and there's interest because one of the big things about I love is it's communal and it gets friends together and it's been tough as an adult to have all your friends over to do something fairly regularly and it's also tough with the last year and a half uh, for that. So I don't see myself going anywhere. As for what I see myself in the hobby, I guess I'll say I'm very much stereotypical fan base for the majority of this or the traditional fan base. And like I said before, even if they start focusing on some other stuff or other folks, I'm going to find it great because you're still giving me more stuff that's different. And, you know, I'll be honest, two of the best things that Wizards of the Coast can give me right now is if I'm reading through a module and it says room 7, it's empty, make something up, do something fun here. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. This is a gift from a DM to another DM. And I know a lot of people get mad about that. It's like, explain every room to me. I'm like, nah, this is Chris Perkins going, do something zany, kids. Have something fun. You want them to walk into the middle of a transgalactic, transplanar Costco? Do it. Just have them walk in there and there's a store or there's just a fat dude sitting on a bench going, ah, yes, you came for my wares. It's like, you're just in the middle of the dungeon, bro. Just, yes, I got stuck here. You want to buy something or not? Something like that's fun. Or the other fun thing is when they do something weird and different. Like, it's a brass dragon, but something's slightly off. Here's some altered stats we're going to suggest to you. And I'm like, oh, I like this because this is weird. You give
Mm-hmm.
me something weird, I'm down because you did something different. You did something I might not have thought about, and now I have a whole new tool for my tool set.
Right, absolutely. Very good answer. Okay, then that next question is that what would be a dream collab that you would like to be a guest or have them be a part of from more of the more famous tabletop RPG communities?
I know that for a lot of folks, especially my wife, that this is going to be a big question that they're going to love. Me, honestly, I don't put myself ever running a game for them or being in a game with them. And thinking about it seems a little goofy to me. Not that if anyone else thinks that it is. I more or less, the thing that would make me really happy is if we ever got a shout out. Something as simple as a shout out from any of the stream shows. Like, I mean, if Critical Role gave a shout out for one of our fundraising events, I'd be like, oh God,
Oh,
that'd be dope. Or
yeah.
if Dimension 20 or some of the other ones like the High Rollers, which I need to really go back and listen to, some of these really famous podcasts. and stream channels, if they would simply give a shout out when we're doing something to raise money, it would be that to me would be the greatest. Now, as for running, if I was ever to run a game, like say at a convention and someone sat down like that, the whole time I'd be doing this. Oh crap, they're actually really good at this and they know what they're doing. I'm going to be embarrassed. You know what? Screw it. You all wake up in a dungeon in your underwear. This is what I'm doing to all of you. So it'd be nice. I mean, I've really found myself enjoying the McElroys or the McElroys with the Adventure Zone and their stuff. Like again, a shout out would be fantastic to me because it just would be great. It would be nice to feel that support from some of the larger names in the groups out there.
That is very true. That's a very good answer. Good answer. And then that the final question is that if that you can improve team bonus action in any method, then how would you make those changes?
Uh, Honestly, the thing I would really love is for one of us to be doing this full time. If we could generate the revenue to hire one of us on full time to work and run stuff for the stream and for the team, that would to me would be so amazing because then we'd have somebody doing it full time. That and if we had someone doing it full time, that would take a load off of the rest of us that aren't. But that is a big if. That is a big maybe way down the road if ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I'm not doing this to generate revenue. I'm not doing this to generate likes and views and build a
Right.
brand. Because right now, I fully believe if we were making a brand off of TBA, I would be the not child friendly cursing part of the brand. Like I think I've done pretty good not cursing tonight.
It's fine.
But that would be the thing. If I could improve this in any way, is that if we could generate the revenue to hire someone on full time to take some of the responsibilities and make sure this ran smoothly, that would be it. I think. Uh, Realistically, what I can do is just make sure I'm always available on Monday and Thursday nights right now to run games or be in games, so that we can continue to produce media and to continue to make content and to play the games that we want to play.
Yeah, that is a very, very good answer. And in that, I'm pretty sure that just how, like you said, that basically others will have like different answers for all of these great questions. Well, then that is about the enough time that we have. So, any other closing remarks, any shout outs that you want
Uh,
to do, and then just like thank you for hosting this. I mean, just sitting down, just speaking, and that we are getting to know you better as our head DM Miro.
I'll say this: I was a little nervous when we were going to start these because I personally don't find myself that interesting. So I was like, why would anybody want to interview? But we've had at least, I think, up to 4 people watch, so that's good.
Yeah.
Um, for what's coming up tomorrow, we're going to be playing another game of Holy Winds. Uh, Wednesday, I am testing a system because next year we may start streaming a Dresden game every other week. We're because the Dresden game I mentioned earlier, we're trying to see if we can modify it into Monster of the Week. So for simplicity, and try to stream it podcast style every other week, starting sometime next year. And let's see, Thursday will be Entity Killer Tales
Tails. Mm-hmm.
Hunt number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just send me the name for that so I can add it to I can update the OBS layout.
Okay.
Um, Sunday we will be having a kitchen table with Cannon, Kyle, and I, and then we'll be picking up in a week or two with Tears of Kairos, which I believe I still need to make a promo for NASA,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll also have Here We Go a Wrestling, a I'm gonna whoop Santa's ass game. I think that's our I'm gonna kick Santa's ass game. our special Christmas game this year, and then we're going to take New Year's. We're going to take the week between Christmas and New Year's off from our regular streams. If we do something random or regular, we'll have that up. And I think that's all we got coming up wise. Oh, and we'll have Into the Woods starting in January, Chris's version of Into the Woods. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a bunch of good stuff coming down the pipe. So it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah. Then that you know that those are all going to be all good, fun games and content. Other than that, just thank you for just this first of like maybe about 10 of these interviews that I am not really sure. Then I just think that this first one was just a great way to kick off these, and then that since that you know that Knox Cow isn't here right now, that don't let your meatloaf. Good night, everybody.